Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to show 250 with yours truly, the hippie pastor. That would be me. The show 250 is going to be divided into 7 chapters. So this is chapter number 1. It's called The Altar Boy. The Altar Boy. The title of the show, of the 7 chapters of the show 250, is called My Testimony. My Testimony. Okay. I was raised in an Irish neighborhood, you might say, Long Island, New York, and went to Catholic school. Both of my parents were Catholics, both of them being of also Latin American descent, Latin descent. Were Catholics. And we went to Catholic schools when I was a young tot, a young boy. I really loved the Catholic. I believed everything. I loved the Catholic religion. I loved the Catholic Church. I loved the whole Catholic situation. I really took it serious and really believed everything that the Catholic priests and nuns would tell me. To me, it was the one and only true religion on the planet. So much so that when I was 7 years old, everybody basically in my neighborhood, being in like an Irish neighborhood, I'll say that again, was Catholic. They were Catholic Irish. But there was one family of Protestants. One family, and they were looked down upon like trash, like if they were like riffraff, like lower status of humanities. The Catholics were upper. And so, but I had a friend from that Protestant family who I loved very much. He was 2 years older than me. I was 7, he was 9, and we were really good friends. And one day I was worried because the priest taught me that only Catholics were going to heaven. So I felt very sorry for my friend who I loved dearly, and so I told him about that, and then I asked the priest about it. What could I do to help my Protestant friend? And he said that I could be authorized to baptize him to the Catholic religion. He deputized me, so to speak, at the young age of 7. Imagine that. I started my independent missionary. I pride myself on being an independent missionary because I'm not dependent on any groups, cults, religions, nobody. Only God. Me and God. Yeah. Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. So it was me and God against the world, man. So anyway, I talked to my friend, my dear friend. I said, look, the priest said that, only Catholics are going to heaven. And he said that I could baptize you, that he authorized me to baptize you. I'm serious. I'm not joking, ladies and gents. So thank God it was summertime because, Long Island can be pretty cold and nippy in the wintertime, but it was summertime. And so we went to my front porch. We met in my front porch, and I had a pitcher of water. And he bowed his head, and I said, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, whatever. And I poured the whole pitcher on his head of water. And he was happy. He raised his head in joy. He really also had faith in the events, in what had happened. And he believed in it. He believed it. He was... I guess Protestants also, they felt inferior, in that Catholic Irish neighborhood. So I didn't even know my first name was Julio, because, my father was from South America. But because my middle name is Robert. So I was called Bobby. So Bobby fit in very well with all the Irish kids. If they would have known that my name was Julio, I would be in serious trouble because there was a lot of bullying going around those days, and I didn't even know my name was Julio. I didn't even know how to speak Spanish. and both of my parents were Hispanic, descent. My father from Peru, but Italian Peruvian. My mom from Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico. So, also descendant from Spain, So they both were fluent they were bilingual, but they didn't teach us any Spanish. It wasn't convenient for our public safety. But it was a beautiful experience, and my friend believed it, and it was so wonderful. And so that was my first spiritual, my, what do you call that thing? There's a word for it, I can't remember right now. I'll remember it later. But my mantra, that was my first mantra. Then after that, I continued, then we moved to Latin America, South America. We moved when I was 9 years old, and we continued in South America, in Peru, in Catholic school. And I'm telling you, I loved it so much so that I became an altar boy. You heard correctly. The hippie pastor started his career as an altar boy in the Catholic religion. I was an altar boy. And not only was I an altar boy, but I would memorize the prayers and I'd go like 3 times a week in fasting to the church, which is right where the school was, and go to church before school. I mean, I was really into it. It gave me a sense of peace. I really loved it. I really loved being an altar boy. Until one fateful day, that me and this other altar boy friend were upstairs in the attic where the priest kept all the things, the cups, the vials, the holy ceremonial paraphernalia. And there was also the wine, the communion wine. And me and my friend, we had arrived pretty much earlier than the priest, and we decided to take a sip of the communion wine. So we uncorked a bottle, and there we were. What happened was, between laughter and laughter, we ended up finishing the whole bottle of wine. And the priest came and caught us red-handed with the bottle of wine. There was no denying it. And that was the end of my altar boy career. He kicked us out. He ran us off. He told us to beat it. I was through as an altar boy. But I kept loving the Catholic religion, Catholicism, and loving God. Okay? Until a fateful day, which I will tell you on the part 2 of my testimony. May you be blessed. Thank you.